So there's this essence of finding your own flavor. Uh, just when it comes to interactions in general, but especially in a leadership capacity, it's really important that you kind of find your own flavor to this, and your own convictions about it, and that you really stick to that, and you don't really let anyone else, no matter how close to you they may be, try to like hijack the approach to this that you know is valid for yourself. Okay, I mean, there's not just like any one approach to managing a team, right? There's not any one approach. The way that's right is the way that works for you and that works for the team that you're working with, right? In the cases here, don't ever let anybody coerce you or try to hijack your style of leadership above all else, because there will be people who will really try to give you some among other things, some very heavy-handed advice, right? They might say, well, don't take this, don't take this from anybody. Don't ever let anybody say that. Don't let them get away with that, and just set them straight and just say it how it is. And I would say, well, yeah, okay, and evidently, probably the person who's saying that has kind of made this particular style work for them, right? They've probably made that work, and that might be the reason why they're sharing that. But again, you have to figure out the particular style that works for you, and there will probably be some trial and error, involved with that. But you have to really be conscious of what's happening and why that is, and you have to try to kind of put your shoes in. You have to kind of try to be in the shoes of the people that you're trying to lead here, and think, well, man, how am I really honestly coming across, and just deal with them. As thinking about yourself in that spot, how would I like this? How would I respond to this, right? And it's different. It's different, really quite different for everyone. What you will find is that there are certain people who want to use you as an instrument for their own purposes. Certain people want to use you as an instrument for their own purposes. And this is an example, this is a concept that exists on pretty much every tier of leadership, in the world at large. Whatever level you're at, whatever position you hold, what you find is that people are there's some people who are keeping you there, and you can think what you will, but ultimately the reason why they have you there, the reason why they want you there, is so that they can use you as an instrument for their purposes, okay? And so, and I'm not saying that that's necessarily bad, okay? But it's something that's very, very important to have an awareness of, because you have probably, in the place where you are, as a manager, as a leader who's directly managing people, probably you have actually a little bit better grasp of what's really going on within this team. A little bit more of a rubber meets the road kind of perspective than whoever it is that's simply trying to use you as an instrument to bring about these particular outcomes, right? And so you find yourself in kind of this intermediate place where you have this understanding of where your team is at. And then you have this kind of place where you're being expected to, these outcomes that you're being expected to bring about, right? By this person that's expecting you to be an instrument, okay? And it's important. It's very important to, in as much as you can, to try to actually stay in the same page, stay in the same hemisphere with both of them, okay? And you're going to be kind of this you're going to be kind of like this connecting glue, okay? To where, let's say that maybe the person who is on this side of seeing you as an instrument to bring about a certain outcome, let's say that maybe they have some some expectations of where this team ought to be going, what they ought to be doing, that are truly a little bit out of sync with where the team is at, and what they can actually do, some of the issues that they actually really face, what their capabilities are, and I mean just what hemisphere they're in. Your space is actually, like, your place is actually almost kind of being more of like a connecting glue there, right? But it's every bit as important that you have an awareness of where one side is coming from, as you have the perspective that the other side is coming from. You got to be very well versed in the kind of narratives that exist on both sides to actually keep them together. Okay, this is really kind of a difficult spot, kind of a difficult place that you're in, and you can almost feel. I guess I would say, if you are feeling that you have some questions of loyalty, and there seems to be almost like a two-sidedness to this. Like, let's say you're in kind of a tier 2 position, right? And you're kind of this go-between a tier 3 position and a tier 1 position, right? So you're like tier 2. You're kind of like an intermediate leadership. Well, if I would say if you feel like you have a little bit of a conflict of loyalty there, then you're probably actually doing a pretty good job, okay? Because that means that you're picking up the narratives of the people in tier 1, and you're actually like acknowledging the real world issues. You're actually seeing firsthand the real world issues that tier 1 is dealing with, but you're also like kind of in sync with tier 3, as far as the kind of outcomes that they want, what they want to see this team doing, and so you can end up like talking to one party, and kind of feeling this loyalty there, and then you can end up talking to this other party and kind of feeling a loyalty and identification with them, and you can really feel like, again, I would say if you feel that you have kind of a conflict of loyalty there, well, then you're probably actually doing a decent job. You might actually be doing better than most. There are places where you will feel that it's your place to advocate for something. And this is something that you have to be very careful about. And it has to do with, you really have to know the nature of the relationship that you have with certain people. You might feel, and when I'm talking about advocating for something, you might feel that it's your place, or you might feel this sense of responsibility or this cause to really make something happen, right? Whatever it takes. It might be your cause to just make something happen, whatever it takes. And you might feel just even out of this kind of a sense of responsibility, you might feel like it merits exerting some intimidation to get this done, right? Or maybe even exerting like some mild threats to actually get this done, if it brings about this particular outcome, because that's the main thing, right? Well, again, what you have to consider is the nature of the relationships that you have currently with these people, and there are times when a certain type of interaction just doesn't make sense. You might feel that it's your responsibility to advocate for something, to make something happen, to maybe use some intimidation there to make it happen, when really that kind of approach may not be merited in this sort of relationship, right? And you really have to know who you're dealing with, okay? You really have to know who you're dealing with, because there's a few things that can happen there. One of them is that if you exert this kind of intimidation, or this kind of threat, or this kind of mild threat, if you exert this intimidation, you run the risk of actually breaking some elements of that relationship. And you might break them in such a way that they actually never can be fully repaired. Just no matter what you say at that point. You resort to this kind of like intimidation, or like there's what I call like when you're in the courtroom of the unjust judge, right? there's a there's and this is a reference to the parable about the widow who was pleading her case with the unjust judge, right? And he wouldn't listen to her. He had no reason to listen to her case if it wasn't for just how bothersome she became. Okay, and so other than intimidation, you might feel inclined to. You might feel that it's your place to just be really, really bothersome about something, like as if you're pleading your cause as the leader on this team, as if you're in the court of this unjust judge. Does that make sense? You might feel that, well, maybe they don't have any reason to listen to me other than just me being just like really, incessant and just repeating this over and over again and just being really bothersome about it. Maybe they'll listen to me again. But as with intimidation, you guys, what happens is that as you, and this is really a key concept here, guys. As you begin to relate to people, when you communicate with them in a way that suggests that the tone of the relationship is lower than what it is, what you'll find is that the tone of the relationship also drops. If you're speaking to someone in the manner that they're a close friend, or that if you're speaking to them in such a way that suggests that you have a partnership with them, maybe it'd be better to say partnership. Close friend is kind of something that that's a whole different concept. But let's say that you're speaking to someone as a partner, okay, and you're speaking to them in that way. But then if you communicate with them in such a way that implies that your opinion of them has dropped, probably the whole the relationship itself is also going to drop. Okay, and so if on one hand, let's say one day you were having a conversation with someone, and the implication there was that you thought that this person's ideas were great and that you were on the same page and everything, but then you turn around and you communicate with them in such a way that suggests that they are very unreasonable. Well, then the quality of the relationship itself is also probably going to drop. Okay, and that's just a really important concept here. So you have to, again, when you're feeling like you have to advocate or when you have to make these things happen, you need to, probably first and foremost, if you have a relationship with these people that's good, and if you want to keep a relationship or you want to foster a relationship with them is good, you really have to think about, not necessarily, more importantly than the outcome that you're going for, you really need to think about there is how does my style of communication here in delivering these ideas potentially affect the quality of relationship that I have with these people? Okay, and that's gonna work into this kind of style that you yourself kind of acquire. Okay, and it all comes to this kind of these different flavors of how you just like to approach certain things, how you like to approach times when you're going to be firm or times when you're going to grant a lot of latitude in a particular area, or just how you're going to deliver ideas, or how you're going to bounce them off, or how you're going to involve people. You're going to develop your own flavor for this, and it's very important that you don't allow you don't allow anyone else, no matter how close they are to you, you don't allow them to hijack that style. You need to respect your own conclusions that you've reached about the kind of leadership style that you want to have and how it affects the quality of relationships you have with people, and you need to really stick with that.